जयपुर वाया कोटा।
कृपया ध्यान आपको अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत।
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೆ ಚೆನ್ನೈ
Hyderabad Punjab Express পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो।
The kind people at Cricbuzz have let me come back on this chair. So thank you so much. I guess I passed the test yesterday. Good evening. I'm Saiyami Kher. You're watching me on Cricbuzz Live. I'm joined by my opening partner, Sthalekar. Thank you so much for joining in. Joyce, of course, has been substituted by an impact player. And this impact player, I'm going to take 30 seconds to talk about him because he's actually had a really big impact on my life because I think he's the reason I fell in love with the sport. When I listen to him speak about cricket, it's like listening to Lata Mangeshkar sing Lag Ja Gale or Gulzar Saab recite his poetry. He's made cricket an emotion and he is making a lot of emotion here. So let me please bring on Harsha Bhogle. Thank you for joining in, Harsha.
Wow, what an introduction.
Who are you talking about?
I was talking about the man who likes to be very humble. But for any 90s kid in India, you've been that person. Like you just make it like so, you make it so emotional. Like I've actually, there is Sachin Tendulkar's straight drive and there's Harsha Bhogle describing Sachin Tendulkar.
Currently, he's very intimidated. He's currently intimidated because there's anchor, producer, director, terrifying, both of them, and this Hoffa here. I'm the sole guy in between. I'm intimidated. I'm terrified today.
Who run the world? Girls.
Sorry.
No, actually, Lisa, yesterday I was under a lot of pressure and I forgot to tell you this, but we have a connection as well. I think you were involved in this as well because a friend had chased down you and Sunandan sir to kind of get your book because I wanted to make a biopic on you and wanted to play you in the biopic.
Right.
So
well, we've got the curly
book,
hair.
You've got curly hair.
Yeah.
I need to be more feisty because that's the word I learned today.
Feisty! Now we are talking. Yes! Feisty!
Don't listen to anything he says.
I asked everyone I know about the women's game. I said, so what do you make of Lisa Sthalekar? And they looked at me and said, as if to say, how well do you know her? Feisty. Feisty. And she used to bowl off spin. Can you imagine off spin being feisty?
Oh, no. You just get the ball to spit out of the turf.
No, so I'm putting out to the universe because I hope that this happens at some point. I'd love to if it happens.
I'd love to see your off spin bowling action.
Yeah, we've discussed what I've done with one arm, but we'll keep that aside for right now. I think, we're sitting pretty on these red chairs. Let's have a look at who's sitting pretty at the points table because Gujarat is sitting up there with 4 points. If Rajasthan wins today, of course, they will go up. Mumbai, Hyderabad and Delhi are at the bottom of the table. As a MI fan, you don't want to see the points table, but we are used to it. We are used to MI not getting off to a great start.
Are you being nice there? Because Kolkata is 0 as well. So you're worried about Joy?
I'm worried about Joy, and also the Bengali population at Cricbuzz. So you can't ever say anything against Calcutta.
I noticed that.
Yes.
You've slotted in nicely.
My original city and my adopted city are being very friendly right down at the bottom.
Yes, there is Hyderabad as well. At the
Hyderabad and Mumbai. Very right down there at the bottom.
No, but I think we should focus our attention to today's game because Rajasthan take on Punjab today at Guwahati and this is their second home. But Harsha, I want to understand one thing because there's been a major surprise element with the pitches that we've been seeing. Like yesterday at Kotla, it was like bouncing up here when we expected more turn. So what can we expect in Guwahati?
But Delhi, you never know what to expect anyway. And everyone looked at that grass and said, oh, what's that grass doing there? And then the ball was doing everything. Guwahati, the last time there was a game played in Guwahati, I think India made 237. South Africa replied 221, that kind of surface. There's still a bit of grass. I was just reading Darren's pitch report. There's still a lot of grass. And as we say in all our pitch reports, it's a little dry underneath the grass. But there will be runs. Yeah,
I remember, I think Arshdeep was quite unplayable in that game because it was moving around and it was crazy.
It was a funny game. Yeah. You're talking the India-South Africa game.
Yes.
It was a very funny game. He got Bavuma out early, then Russo in that series was either duck or 100 and he finished 4 over 62. He bowled his first overs really well and then finished 4 over 62.
But it's about getting set, being set on that pitch.
but he bowled so well in Mohali. And he used the short ball. He got wickets of the short ball. And we're seeing bowlers getting wickets of the short ball.
So can we say that it's going to assist seamers today? Because it did that last time, but we don't know what it's going to do.
I think it's going to be a pitch that's going to be friendly for batters, and bowlers will just have to adjust and find ways. I mean, but Chepauk and Harsha Bhogle, also the last two games, the pitches have been really different to what we've expected. So who knows? This could be a slow turner 150.
Look at that game in Chennai. When was the last time you saw a track like that in Chennai?
Exactly.
And MS said at the end, hopefully he said the track should start to get slower as you go along. He's got a team geared for that. My gut feel is this game will be a big run chase game.
We should, I think, now talk about the two captains, because there's something which I have noticed about both the captains. I feel, they're both very similar. They're calm, they're composed, and they've always been consistent in the IPL. Sanju Samson has always come in. We can see here he's always been consistent. So has Dhawan. They've always got that 400 and plus scores. Shikhar Dhawan actually said that, हम खालियात आते खालियात जाते, captaincy गई तो problem नहीं है. And Sanju Samson also says he doesn't take the pressure. But is that how they're playing?
They've both changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. Every time I used to speak to Sanju, I came away thinking, here's a very intense young man. He's probably reading The Alchemist or something, very serious, that kind of guy. Whereas Shikhar has now gone, and he's relaxed much more now. I think Sanju's become a lot more, let me take life as it comes now. He should be playing T20 for India, but that's a whole different debate. But Shikhar has gone the other. Shikhar's become a complete philosopher now. Shikhar is my zindagi ka saath nibhata chala gaya. They asked Shikhar about Shubman Gill. He said, if I was a selector, I wouldn't pick myself, I'd pick Gill. So he's playing that senior statesman role. And a lot of things have happened in his life, but I think he's a little more relaxed now.
But Lisa, you think, with Samson, he has been a little more aggressive. So captaincy, if you can say, has made him a little more aggressive. And Shikhar got that 40 of, I think, 28, 29 runs. So he was a little more mellow.
Yeah, well, I mean, there has been questions around Shikhar when he was playing for Delhi. I remember Ricky Ponting kind of speaking to him, saying the 120 strike rate is not going to cut it anymore in IPL. And we're seeing regular scores over 200. So someone going at the top, when you've got the power play and only 2 fielders out, you've got to go 140 plus. So we saw in the first game that he was able to do that. You just hope that he continues, because he can set the tone, not only as the opening batter, but as the skipper. And that's really important, that he doesn't kind of rest and go back to what his comfort zone, that he still is expressive with his game. And that's going to be important. And whilst those runs that we saw on that ladder, they're very similar, Sanju Samson, the last few games actually last few years should I say, scores it at a quicker rate, which is really important. Strike rate is actually more important sometimes than the amount of runs.
It's a debate that can rage till June. Strike rate versus average. I think I'm in the strike rate corner, as long as the average is above a certain number. As long as the moment your average goes above 25, 26, I'm straight away in the strike rate corner. So I asked Deepu the same question actually that Lisa was talking about. Sanju Samson 136, 147 in the last 2 years. Shikhar 124, 122. The thing with Shikhar though is, if you're playing a 170 kind of game, he's surrounded by so many strikers. Even in this team now, without Livingston.
And no Bairstow either. Yes.
But Prabhsimran has gone off like a train. He's got Rajapaksa. He's got that Jitesh Sharma who comes and bats like that. Karan can come in and swing his bat. But in a 200 game, he'll have to go. And I think he started slowly, but overall he finished okay the other day. But keep your eye open for Shikhar's strike rate.
You spoke about Prabhsimran. He's been extremely impressive, because we saw what he did in the last game. He's had a great domestic season. Do you think he's taking over from where probably they were expecting a Johnny Bairstow to come in and do wonders? Yeah,
well, they need to fill that slot, don't they? And the numbers there from the Sage Mushtaq, a strike rate of 140, which was really important. That's over his career, but even last season, 320 runs. And even in the Ranji Trophy, over 500 runs as well. Yep. Anything else you'd like? Do you want me to zoom it up for you?
No. Once you finish saying what you have, I'll tell you a story about our iPad.
So basically, he's in good form, and he played one game last year. So it's important now that these players that have kind of soaked up the atmosphere of the IPL get an opportunity, and he's got to take it with both hands because he doesn't know when the next time will be. So he can make a name for himself and secure himself for future IPLs with this franchise if he starts really well.
I mean, he's been around for a while, getting a couple of games here, a couple of games there, and I'll be completely honest, he looked a little out of place. So maybe going back and playing that Mushtaq Ali was good for him because he looked very good the other day. He only played 12 or 13 balls.
Strike rate of I think 196,
Yeah. And that's fine. If you've got 8 batters in your side, one guy just goes off, gives you 20, 25 right at the top, you straight away, you got a start of 35, then you get going. But if he plays like that, he'll have to be ready to fail more often. And I hope they're backing him to play that kind of game because if Bairstow is not coming, and remember they've got Matt Short in his place, but that changes the balance of their side if they play Matt Short up there. So they want Prabh Simran to come good there and just ease it for Shikhar.
I think the other day actually even Rajapaksha had a really good day. So there was Shikhar who kind of came in easy, and then there was Prabh Simran, and then of course there was Jitesh who did very well.
Yeah.
So pretty much everyone did well for Punjab, and also the Heavens did well because it rained just in time for them.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two teams really, the Royals and Punjab, 200 odd, 190 odd. So you've got two teams that want to go hard, that their brand or their style is to really make sure it's top heavy from a batting perspective, and they just keep going because they've got some depth as well. So that will allow them to play with freedom. But, now they're coming up. So Punjab are now coming up a decent bowling attack as well and decent spinners. So that's going to be another little challenge for some of their players.
It was weird that in Chandigarh that day, I got off the airport. I came out of the airport building. It was with the air conditioning inside the building. It was 17 degrees when I got out. When I got up in the morning, I looked at the temperature 16. Delhi was cloudy. Something weird is happening to the weather in the north. Summer hasn't started there yet. Hopefully it'll just start. Hopefully it won't peak because then it'll get really hot. But it's cold. I don't know what the weather is going to be like in Guwahati because they're talking of a little bit of rain there too. So I hope it doesn't rain. It was cold.
So I've got an update that it has been overcast, but it's not raining, and Rajasthan's won the toss and they've decided to bowl first. No surprise there because whoever wins the toss seems to be bowling first.
But it's not necessary that they're winning it.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm waiting for the strong captain to go, you know what? We're going to score the runs. We're going to put 200 odd runs on the board, and good luck chasing it.
What's Lissipedia saying about that? Lissipedia?
Yeah, nothing.
No, but considering that, they have that top order batting because there is that Joss Butler factor. I don't know how you can stop Joss Butler because he's gone and spoken a lot. He spoke to Yuzi after the game that day, and we've seen what he's done. Strike rate of 152, 18 innings, 917 runs. This is since 2020.
The oldest way of stopping a batter is to leave a bar of soap in the bathtub.
I was waiting for something like really common. Just get him out.
And hope he slips on it and doesn't get hurt too much.
Yeah.
No, but he's... You know what happened the other day? Yashasvi goes off. He gives Butler those 3 or 4 balls, and then Butler just realized this track is made for me, man, and he just exploded. And it helped that he got those 2 short balls early, so he's able to hit the 6. But Butler in this form, I mean, you look at him over the 3-4 years, his strike rate is about 145, 150 as we just saw. He's playing at a different level. And he comes here, he's not captain of England anymore. He's not keeping anymore. All he has to do is stand at long on and go on biff. And sometimes that just relaxes you. He came with his family last year.
Yeah, he did.
He's a bit of a family guy.
Yeah, he is. He's very quietly spoken.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get much out of him, but he goes about his business quietly. Yeah.
Lisa, he's really that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then something happens to him, like happens to Lisa when she stepped on the field, just different personality.
But you said she's the same personality. She's feisty on and off.
No, she's feisty with me.
Oh.
She's very kind to you.
No, but on Lisa, on Butler, he made this comment to Yuzi the other day that he wants to be a little more selective of his shots. He doesn't want to play the, slogs, and he wants to be more selective. Whatever he's selecting is working for him.
I'll tell you the only thing he's selecting is, do I hit a 6 over mid-wicket or do I hit a 6 over long on?
Yeah, when someone is in this rich vein of form, sometimes when you first walk out there, you think you can just go from ball one because I would imagine there is nothing going on in his head. Now, you speak to players and sometimes their best performances, they're not thinking in the past, they're not thinking in the future. They're just in that moment. They're seeing the ball and reacting to it. I think he's been able to unlock that secret, and sports psychologists charge a mint to get players to find that happy place. But he's there. He just now needs to decide when he wants to put the foot on the accelerator. So sometimes if a player has too many shots, sometimes you're thinking too far ahead of what you need to do. I don't think he needs to put any shots away. I think what he's doing right now is working for him as a treat, and just keep going, because one thing we know about cricket, it's a great leveller, and before we know it, he'll get a first ball, an absolute ripper of a ball, and he's
Interesting
gone.
you say that. Last year, there were 2 or 3 games where he was 30th run a ball. Not quite explosive. 30th run a ball, he only exploded right at the end. But do you know Josh Ware? I've seen him in the warm-ups.
Yeah.
See, I actually wanted to go across and say something to you. Remember last year, 2 years ago, that whole Ashwin and
Yes.
Butler thing was going on. I'd had a strong point of view, and he was there. I just thought I'd go and tell him, look, it's not about you. It's just my point of view on the piece on the law. But when I went to say hello to him, he was just in another world. And I just wonder whether his match preparation just starts. He looked like he was in another world.
All right.
Because he seems to be someone who's quite wired. From whatever fans know, he has something explicit written on his bat. And he says that's the way he declutters his mind. He's spoken about that at length as well, where he talks about, I want to declutter my mind when I get onto the cricket field. So clearly he's thinking a lot before he gets onto the field.
I saw a very interesting program he did, my time with Nasser, when he just talked about how the modern batter hits sixes. He just clear your foot. He says there's some days when you just know it doesn't matter where the field is. You take the field out. There used to be a time when batters used to be worried about the stumps behind them and the fielder in front of them. A lot of these modern batters, they take the stumps out because they hit the ball from anywhere, and they just don't worry about the fielder anymore.
I mean, we're seeing sixes 100 metres, 95 metres, so it doesn't matter where the field
Sanju
is.
Samson hit an off spinner, standing where he was, weight on the back foot, for an 80-90 metre over long off.
Ridiculous.
Talking about sixers and people hitting spinners for sixers, there's one spinner who's not gotten hit for too many sixes, and that's Yuzi Chahal, because he was the purple cap holder last year. The last game he played, he got a four-wicket haul. He's been extremely impressive because he is the 3rd highest wicket taker in the league. So just Yuzi Chahal and what we can expect from him today?
Exactly the same. The little chess master, being able to move the pawns around nicely. And I love, such a slight guy, in stature, but he's so clever in what he does and just the subtle changes that he makes. And he, like most of the leggies that are successful in T20 cricket, doesn't give the stumps away enough. And the up and down of speeds makes him really successful. And, it's interesting that, he hasn't played a lot for India of late. So there's a point to prove. And I feel like every year when we get to an IPL, it's either between him and Kuldeep Yadav, as in who's out, and all of a sudden that each one has a point to prove, and they use the IPL as a chance just to kind of put their foot forward and say, no, I'm still around and I'm still successful, and there's a World Cup, so why not?
I know another bowler, slightly built and very clever on the field. I knew another bowler like that.
Just leave it there.
But she talked about...
We clearly know who bullies who on the show, because he's made it very clear now.
She talked about... And, every time I look at her and she looks at me like that and says, let's get back to the cricket, okay? So I'll get back to the cricket. She talked about change of pace. Did you see the other day, Yuzi Chahal bowling to Harry Brook? And he got him on the back foot trying to cut. He just pushed that ball through. And then to Adil Rashid, he bowled a ball that never reached.
Yeah.
It was just hung in the air. So he's bowling beautifully. The interesting thing is his relationship with Kuldeep. Kuldeep said to me at one of the post-match presentations, he says, when I was down, the person who was always in touch with me, always geeing me up, was Chahal. And it's weird that because neither of them can bat at 8, they're actually competing for one spot. And Kuldeep is bowling beautifully. Since he's got his speeds up to 85, 86, 87, he's bowling beautifully. And Chahal the other day was fantastic. Sangha said, everyone talks about how clever Ashwin is, and he is. He said, but this man just gets spin bowling. He understands the game. He said, he's very, very clever. Don't get taken in by the TikTok videos. He's a very clever guy.
No, his TikTok videos actually are quite famous because he and Sanju Samson, he wanted to learn some Malayalam dialogues from Sanju Samson. I was seeing this clip before I came in. So there's chemistry between the captain and his bowler.
And Sanju, the Delhi boy.
Yes.
Which I only got to know recently,
But you spoke about Ashwin and how everyone considers him the intelligent one. With Yuzi, he's somebody who probably doesn't try too many variations. Like Lisa said, he uses the pace a little more. With Ashwin, there's a new variation every day that he brings in. So do you think that's the difference between these two?
I think they said at one point last year that they were playing two leggies.
Because he was
Ashwin
just
and
bowling
Chahal.
the
He's just
carom ball.
he's just bowling the carom ball. And I think Sangha said, let's see the off spinner again.
Yeah, he did. There was I don't know if it was last year, but I remember he kept going to it. It's like, no. This is still effective as well.
He's got this thing about challenging both edges. He keeps talking about it. He said, I need to challenge both edges.
Yeah.
But he's clever enough to bowl that one.
Yeah. And even just a genuine arm ball. You don't need to bowl the carom ball. You just need to hold the line almost. So if the pitch is turning, keep going with your off spinner, but then just let the one out the front and might just move gently with the seam. So he's clever enough to do it. And what I like about him as well from a batting perspective, he gives Royals a little bit more because he can get that quick fire 20 off 12 deliveries, and that is so important. You want your bowlers to be able to contribute with the bat as well.
He's spoken about this quite a lot. He said that his batting has made him a better bowler because he says he gets that confidence when he bats better, which is what is making him a better bowler.
Just look at the teams. Rabada is not playing. So the stories that were coming out were correct. What I heard was that Rabada is exhausted. He's bowled such a lot. He's played Test cricket. He's played the World Cup. He's done it all. He's exhausted. But luckily for Punjab, they've actually had a very good auction, And Nathan Ellis goes around the world and he plays cricket. He's a very clever bowler. So Nathan Ellis may not be a like for Rabada, but he's a very decent replacement for Rabada.
Yeah. Just to give you a story about Nathan Ellis, he's actually a New South Wales guy.
Has to be.
And so that's why I've got to tell you the great story, But wasn't getting any opportunities with the New South Wales Blues. So packed up his car, put everything in the boot and travelled down, caught the ferry to Tasmania and started playing club cricket in Tasmania, and then got an opportunity with the Hobart Hurricanes to actually start playing the Big Bash, and just fought hard again and again and again, and got to a place where all of a sudden he had a great year, then gets selected for Australia. So he's almost like, you know what, things aren't working for me here. Let me change my destiny, let me change my path and see what's
Which
possible.
is such a positive way of thinking, rather than saying, there's politics, they're not giving me a break. Okay, I'm not getting a break here. I'm not getting a break here.
Yeah.
Let me find where I can get a break, go and play there. I remember Zach telling us sitting here that he wasn't getting a break, and Dennis Lilly at MRF told him, it doesn't matter where you play, you're playing first-class cricket this year. So you've just got to go and play. I've got a lot of time. I've seen Nathan Ellis, like all bowlers, he'll go for runs sometimes. But I just think he's very clever. He's got the slower ball. He's got genuine pace. He's a good enough replacement for Rabada.
We'll wait and watch on that because as we know, Rajasthan's won the toss and they're bowling first. So Punjab, of course, will be batting, and we'll... with the Punjab lineup, they don't have too many left-handers, and then the Trent Bolt factor comes in because I think they probably just have one left-hander in the top and then Sam Curran in the top, lower down.
Yeah, and Trent Bolt, we know, loves to swing it back in and
Yes.
blow the front pad off of every right-hander.
Or he might know, they got Rajapaksa as well, lefty. So they might, actually, he swings that ball so well, Trent Bolt, he could play with the outside edge and get them out. But he is just the best, he's one of the two best left-hand power play bowlers in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, him and Mitch Starc, the white ball bowlers.
No, I was actually thinking, okay, one of three.
Okay.
One of three.
Who's
I
the
was thinking
other
Shaheen.
Oh yeah, Shaheen. So yeah, he's excellent in what he does. He bowls the difficult overs in the sense that if the ball's swinging, he's an absolute handful at the top.
Yes.
But then he's also very good at the death because his Yorkers and his cutters, he's able to execute really well. So he's been a huge plus for the Royals. I mean, I think Mumbai really struggled without him when they lost him, and then we saw that. So the Royals will be making sure they keep him in the fold for a while.
I think, 17 wickets in the power play for Trent Bolt? The next best is 5.
Wow.
Next best for a fast bowler is Jofra Archer with 5. Trent Bolt is just in a league apart as a power play bowler, especially because these white balls are swinging much more now. I remember talking to him 2019, 20, and I said, this white ball, he said, mate, just look at it long enough, it'll stop swinging. These white balls don't swing. But in the last couple of years, and I think it's something Kookaburra have done,
Yeah.
the white ball is swinging much more. And so players like Rabada or players like Trent Bolt are in the game.
Trent Bolt surprisingly.
Shami yesterday.
Yes,
Because-
Shami's first over was moving like
And
this.
yet he got one ball that hit the stump.
Yes.
And these bails don't fall off.
That's another one, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Trent Bolt from Jitesh hasn't played him, Shahrukh hasn't played him, and Prabh Singram hasn't played him. So they're going to be in for quite something because the first time they're facing Trent Bolt.
And like all good bowlers of that type, Chaminda Vas was like that as well, but Bolt is quicker than Vas was. They'll make you play from the first ball. There's no sighter. The first ball will be honing in on your pads on the stumps.
Yeah.
So-
And we all know when you first go out there, feet don't move as crispy as you would like. And if you're a little bit late in picking anything up, you're gone. The ball's already hit your pad.
So who do you think the onus falls on to take on Trent Bolt then?
I think Shikhar,
Shikhar has to, yeah.
he has to.
He should be facing the first ball. Don't even expose.
Yeah.
But you know, Punjab also has not been the best against spin. So there is the Trent Bolt factor, and then there is of course Yuzi and there is Ashwin. This is last season. We can see that they have not enjoyed playing spin at all. So how are they going to play out both a Yuzi and an Ashwin?
And they're playing only two, right? They're starting with two. They might see a little bit of Parag if required. So
Well, I hope we see him do something.
he had a good domestic season.
I know
let's be
you
fair
have.
to him.
I've seen you on this show talk about how much he's bowled. And I've looked at my numbers tell me.
You know, one day I went to breakfast and I saw her with that iPad. And then there's her, there's Bish, there's me and a couple of others doing the game. And I walk into the commentary box and there's Bish with his notes. He's got papers full of notes. And there's Lisa. And I said, hang on, it's a long time since I went to a term and exam.
See, the thing is that he keeps all of his knowledge up there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I
He's the
can't do
first
it.
bencher.
And when he doesn't have it there, you won't know because he won't talk about it.
So he has everything.
Because like even yesterday we chatted about this because Joyce also is the first bencher and y'all are looking a little different today because yesterday Joyce and you look like the really studious first benchers,
I was
but
always
today
back.
it looks like there's a little bit of naughtiness that's come in.
I was
because
always
you've
back.
come in.
Yeah.
I was always back. Always back bencher.
He's throwing
Oh.
things as well from the back.
But you know, I also, this is like we spoke about yesterday, Riyan Parag is a conversation that always brings certain kind of controversy because of, Lisa said yesterday, he is Instagram favorite cricketer because he says a lot of things.
Yes.
He said, I'm going to hit 4 sixes this season. This is his home ground. So can we expect him to do something
You know,
today?
cricketers have one very, very powerful voice that they should always use and not worry about all the other voices. If you're a bowler, the voice comes through the ball. If you're a batter, the voice comes through the bat. And if you can speak through that, you don't need to speak about anything else. I know it's a modern generation. I'm about 25 generations behind. But if you're supposed to say no.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, yep, he's about right. Yeah.
But yeah, what happens with someone like that is he's a brash young, well, not brash, a confident young kid, but there's got to be performance at the back. You can't be averaging 13 with a striker of 110 after 40 games.
He always gives us a lot to talk about. But Lisa, you think Rajasthan's bowling is looking on paper at least much stronger than Punjab's batting? We can see here there are a lot of youngsters there. There is of course, this is Rajasthan's playing 11. We can see Trent Bolt, Yuzi, Ashwin, Jason Holder. You think they're going to be a handful for Punjab?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've got the experience of Bolt, Chahal, Ashwin, Holder, Parag if they want, and KM, if he's from Kerala. So
He's from Kerala. I wonder what the matter with Kuldeep Sen is. He was so impressive last year.
yeah, maybe, and it's funny because he played for Chennai and didn't play any games. So and really hasn't played that many games as well.
Whenever
throughout
Chennai
this
qualified,
summer.
he'd play the game at the end. He'd
Okay,
play one
right.
game. And before the start, he'd be on the adjacent pitch and he'd be running in and hurling thunderbolts and then going and sit in the dugout.
Right.
But he bowled all right the other day.
Yeah.
The other thing about that side, and there's something you might understand far better, there's a lot of leaders in that side who understand situations. And I think when your great Australian team was all playing together, there were a lot of you like that who just understood situations. So there's Jason Holder there, he's been captain of a side. Ashwin's been captain of a side. Chahal's been around for a long time. You don't need to tell them much.
No, Sam.
And the Butlers.
Yeah.
And Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine an Aussie captain telling Lisa before she was in charge, I want you to do that. She said, sorry, I bowl.
You bowl the ball then. No, I think it's a good point because we talk about time of all of these T20s and how long they're going. You want the bowler to be in charge of their fields. You want them to be able just to go, yep, I want this, done, and away we go. So Sanju Samson actually has a really good side to lead because they are senior statesmen in their own right. And then when you bring them all together, they seem to have unearthed a nice little chemistry together, which got them all the way to the final last year.
You know, our senior statesman is not here today because he's cooking up very difficult quiz questions for us. The joy factor question of the day: which former cricketer and current coaching staff of a franchise has scored each of his 5 test centuries against 5 different teams? There's a lot of head scratching going on here.
No, I'll tell you. 5 years ago, when I could remember things, I remember the answer to this, but I know the answer, but I've forgotten it.
It's not Ricky Ponting.
No,
it has to be
each
this
of
game,
the 5 against different teams, right?
It'd have to be against these two sides.
We'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out post-show because we can think over this. Maybe we'll come back to you in the mid-match show. But this is something that Lisa won yesterday. I have to give it to her, hands down. She 54 it was, and that's what they made in the
Power
6.
play, yeah.
Yes.
Right on the money, actually, but anyway.
Me and
Try
Joyce
your
were
best.
pretty far away. So, predictions for today?
Power play or total?
No, total.
Okay, total. Rajasthan Royal, Punjab batting. I'm going 176.
176. Lisa, I'll go last. I'll play safe.
I'm going to go 192.
Wow.
It's in the Lisapedia.
She looked it up a lot.
And the Lisapedia has a program. You just press 3 and it churns all the numbers in Guwahati and whatever and throws them up.
Okay, so 192, 176. I'm going to play safe and go with 184. But we'll find out who wins because we'll have to wait for that at the mid-match show. But don't forget to join us at the 10-over point at the Cricbuzz Combox. That's all for now. We'll see you soon.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत लखनऊ जंक्शन
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು
Hyderabad Superfast Express Guwahati Station Netaji Bhawan. कृपया ध्यान दो